let's see if this man has something to say about that. Also, a lot of stuff in his background. And in the top right-hand side, it is for the cranky ducklings, Vindicta.
And in the bottom left, in the red, he is newly signed to Onside Gaming. He's Neeb. That is such a scary team, Cats. Maru and Neeb on the same team with Rex as well.
That is actually pretty crazy, yeah. With Rex as well.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, one of each race. You have the best, arguably the greatest player in North America. Scarlet and Estrella can hold a candle to that flame, but Neeb has been the most consistent one overall, and I don't think that's too controversial to say. And then you certainly have the best Terran. That's a scary group. But we were talking about this. I was memeing about it. Vindicta did start Neeb's terrible start to DreamHack winner last year. And maybe we'll see something happen. Neeb already, I didn't see what happened in the game, but maybe showing a bit of weakness. He did lose a game to him canning. Maybe there's something there.
Maybe there is. And Neeb, I mean, sometimes he just crumbles under the pressure as much as he didn't during his reign in 2017, or was it 2017, whenever that was. Ever since, I mean, he has the seasons where he kind of just falls and doesn't get back up, or gets back up really slowly, right? Like the last season of DreamHack, but even during the Casters Civil War and the previous iteration in the War Chest team league, Neeb wasn't the star performer that you would have expected him to be. Now, you say he's been performing really well, however, in the weekly cups, in the EPT Open Cups.
He has. It's interesting because he's been looking insanely good, except against European Terrans. He makes the semis, he makes the finals. He's done that for several weeks now. And then he loses to a Clemmer Hero Marine. So if there is any weakness in his style and the way he's playing right now, maybe it is against these Terrans. But, you know, Cats, I'm just a little bit sad because we saw flashes of that old brilliant Neeb and Katowice in that game, in that series against Rogue that I believe you cast. But it's only now that Katowice is over, that he's gone back home, that he's on this new team, and that he's left Ting, that we're really starting to see Neeb. I'm not going to say at his, as you said, his 2017 peak or whatever it was, but at least approaching that level once again.
Yeah, for sure. And at Katowice, we did see a Neeb that could put up a fight against Rogue. And if he had that head start against Rogue, and in those games, he really had an opening in a couple of the maps, and in the final map, it seemed like he was going to hold his gold base, or that he had the tools for that. And then, you know, if you start with a victory against Rogue instead of a loss, maybe your tournament ends up looking completely different. So you never know. You never know how much the pressure can do. As in this game already, we have Vindicta with a little bit of a proxy starport. This could be, well, let's see what else we have on the cards. It's Hellion, so most likely a medevac to elevate those.
I really don't like this setup from Neeb here. He's got an idea. He's going for a really quick robo and a warp prism, so he wants to put pressure on. But Cats, Hellion drops against Twilight openers, even say a 3-gate Twilight, it doesn't feel all that great because the Stalkers can, or the Hellions can just run around. The Stalkers don't really box out all that well, and it's a problem. This is even less of that. There's not going to be any blink. He is only going up to a second gateway with his Warp Prism, and we see Neeb understands that this is a problem right here. Instead of using the Warp Prism aggressively, he's going to try to scout out where the starport is, and at the very least, he knows what's happening. He knows where things are, but Cats, it is a far cry from knowing where something is and actually holding it.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's like a little bit of a cry, because it's not, you know, like he's already in position with 2 Stalkers. I think information here is crucial for Neeb. So the fact that he had that Stalker and that Adept at the front gives you hope, right? Because the Hellions still have to run past those units, and Neeb readjusts beautifully here. The scout and the turnaround with the Warp Prism was great, and right now he even lets Vindicta think that maybe he has found an opening, and then he has an extra Stalker, so he moves out with the 3 while leaving 1 in the wall of, and that makes it so that he kills a couple of units here of Vindicta. So a wonderful start for the Thunderhaft.
Cheeky plays from Vindicta as well. We saw him try to run in with the empty medevac to convince Neeb that the drop was somewhere where it wasn't. Now the medevac's got to be a little bit careful, but should be able to boost out. Hellions on the other side, they're just going to run into some Stalkers. It's not the best build order scenario necessarily, this build that Neeb's gone versus what Vindicta has, but if you're going to play it as well as Neeb has been, It is absolutely going to work out. So now we have 4 Stalkers in a Warp Prism. They one-shot SCVs. Let's see how much damage he gets done here. A tank sieged up, it's not all that easy, but if you just dodge tank shots like Neeb is, well, it means this tank may go down, but SCVs get pulled. Not a lot of damage, just some repairs and pressure on the Vengeful One.
Yeah, beautiful position there from the Vengeful One. And wait, Vindicta's the Vengeful One, right?
Yes, Vindicta's the Vengeful One.
Because Vindicta, okay. Because of his name, it's like vindictive.
Yeah, that's where the Latin comes from.
Oh, we're doing Latin. So can you tell me the some of the dollar bill stuff?
The dollar bill stuff?
Yeah, there's like some Latin in the dollar bill.
Oh, E pluribus unum, out of many one.
I love that one. Yeah, that's a great one.
I don't have my wallet in my pocket. I can't pull a dollar bill out and see if there's any other Latin on it.
Well, that one's my favorite, so you covered it.
There we go.
Out of
DT's in the
many
main
one.
base now. Scan of the natural. We don't have a scan here. We only have that one in the naturals. Getting a lot of SCVs anyways. Warp Prism in the main kills a tank. Cats, it seems to be a North American thing where DTs just do game-ending damage because there's just not quite enough scans. That's going to be 10 SCVs and a dead tank.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is wonderful to see this North American process like in Neeb and Estrella, because while they are top-tier players like around the world and have given fights and sometimes taken, you know, championships and just taken down some of the best in the world, they still have that North American flair. They are somewhat creative. They are aggressive. They have their own identity to them. One would say pluribus unum. What is it?
E pluribus unum, out of many one. Or what? Yeah, out of a bunch of people, you're the predominant peer.
Yeah. Well, is that how you take it?
Well, E pluribus unum means out of many one, so it's the one that is the best amongst it all.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's how you read that phrase. I read it a little bit different.
How do you read it?
Out of many one? I think it's in Latin, and you know, like there's like the all-seeing eye on top of the pyramid and stuff like that, and the dollar bill as well. Like I think it speaks to our unified nature as a species and as a
And you're right.
Universe.
I'm misapplying it. I do apologize, folks. You know, sometimes you learn stuff when we come to Bayo's classroom, and sometimes Bayo is just wrong. So we're good.
I mean, I don't know that I'm right. I think it's up to interpretation.
That's what it originally meant. Out of a bunch of states, we're going to form one strong union.
Oh, I see.
And I got myself flipped around.
That makes a lot of sense.
Much like Vindicta is trying to flip this game around because Neeb is getting aggressive. He's got some Archons. That means he wants to get aggressive. He's got some Colossus here. 2 of them are a scary, scary Force Cats. Is Vindicta going to be able to hold this one off?
Yes. But no. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like he might hold this attack right now, but because his position is brilliant right now, right? Like those tanks look to be in a great position. I don't think that Neeb can push into this, and I think it would be a little bit of a mistake, perhaps. Even though he is like 20 supply ahead, this looks dangerous. So I like that he's trying to pull some units here, but Vindicta with perfect positioning here on the Vikings. He doesn't have, unfortunately for him, extra units, but with the Warp Prism going down, there's not going to be any more reinforcements for Neeb. So he's going to, poke in. He's going to get shot at from the tank a couple times, and then he's just going to have to retreat. And what I mean by yes but no is like, yeah, he's going to hold, but that doesn't matter because Neeb is taking a 4th, and Neeb is doing everything that he needs to transition into Blink, into further upgrades, into Disruptors, so he doesn't need to do damage with this.
So, Cats, what you're telling me here is this is a fight that our Red Protoss does not need?
That was good. All right. I like.
All right. No. Now that that's done with, we can start actually saying reasonable things about StarCraft once again. Neeb, as you said, he's got this 4th base. His upgrades are exactly where they need to be. There's always the scary thought of maybe you have a Terran that turtles really hard and the Protoss spends a lot of time trying to break them and losing a lot of money over and over again. But this is not the fight that Vindicta wants in the middle of the map here. Not with these Colossus and the Archons and everything else. Force field is actually not going to get much of anything. And hey, the Widowmine gets a decent connection. So Vindicta's going to be able to run back home, tail between his legs, to his defensive structures. But it's going to be difficult for a while now for Vindicta to move out on the map at all.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult. And yeah, I mean, these Vikings are looking for a Colossus or some sort of poke. And yeah, Vin. That's the vehicle identification number as well, isn't it? For the hashtag.
It is. You know, there's
so in a different universe, Vindicta is like, tell me your vehicle identification number, isn't it?
Yes. He is, in another universe, he's a meching Terran because he has all those vehicles, all those VINs.
Yeah, a lot of VINs. And dicta from the Latin dictum, right?
No,
the
Vindicta is the entire Latin root, or Vindicatus, I think.
No, yeah. I'm just twisting it around, separating it into two words. Into two words, you could do VIN for the number, and then dictum is Latin as well, right?
Yes, to speak really, or to just set something, or to
dictate basically. Say something. So yeah, probably where the word dictate comes from.
Yes, that's exactly where it comes from.
Vindictum, therefore, would be like, tell me your vehicle identification number.
Yeah, your driver's license, maybe.
Your driver's license, yeah. And I mean, that Liberator, for example. Vindictum? No. And then they just kill him. You know? Like, okay, no identification, no pass.
There we go. But Neeb, he's still trying to find a little value here. And as long as he just kind of sits to the edge of things, doesn't run into this really scary turtled up position, he's going to be fine. Oh, those stalkers on the left side. That's a bit of a misblink there. Neeb, he's going to lose 4 or 5 stalkers. And as he looks to run forward here, he's not going to get a lot with these disruptors. Vindicta supply still standing strong. Neeb trying to at least delay this 4th base. And that looks like he'll be able to force a cancel or maybe even a kill if Vindicta. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's the cancel. And that's going to be the prize that Neeb is looking for. But cats, these Colossus are rather low. Look at this flank that Vindicta's setting up for. EMP's blanket everything. And a disruptor on the backside. Not going to get all that much, actually. Fantastic splits there from Vindicta. But this last one, no, Vindicta's still chasing, trying to find more and more value. Disruptor shot keeping him out. More Zealots find their way in. He's out of range of the tanks, and that's the big deal because Vindicta needs that DPS to really make this happen. He's taking the best fight he possibly can, but cats, I worry, I pray, it is not enough here. Neeb taking the fight, but Vindicta made it look close.
Yeah, I think that you were spot on as far as like the beginning of that fight. I think that Vindicta had everything that he needed to try and surround and take some, tax basically the army of Neeb on the retreat. Neeb knows that, so he throws some disruptor novas to try and just zone out one side while running away with the other side. And Vindicta did well at the start, but at some point he has to recognize, okay, I'm now running into a choke and I can no longer kind of like get us around, right? So all the Colossus that had their backs up against the wall, to so to say, no real wall there, but that they were struggling to run anywhere from the army of Vindicta that could shoot at them, all of a sudden they are kind of just, like front facing the army of Vindicta that's all coming from the same area. And at that point, I think Vindicta needed to disengage and look for his tank coverage, like you said, like, just be okay holding for that moment and try to reset.
Yeah, I think you're right. If he's able to take what was, I still think a fairly good fight at the start of that. As you say, back up. Maybe it's one of those things where he says, "Look, okay, Neeb forces my 4th base to get canceled. I know he has his 4th. Maybe he has his 5th on the way. I don't really remember." The economic downside of that game made Vindicta think that, okay, this is my best shot to win this game. If I reset everything, maybe I can make something happen. Otherwise, again, my economy is just too poor. I don't know. But
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, from that perspective, I think, Vindicta was in a tough spot. We knew he was in a tough spot. He probably knows he's in a tough spot. And a lot of those Colossus are in the red. So if he can just reach them, it's very difficult, or it's very easy, rather, to tunnel vision as a player and be like, oh, if I can just get to those Colossus, all of a sudden, then you just kind of win the fight. But maybe if he could have found the room to unsiege his tanks and at least bring them, if he was going to all into the fight, then he needed everything at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was a razor-thin fight, and the advantages that Neeb had built over the last 5 minutes allowed him to carry it through. And, hey, some fantastic decent disruptor shots. But cats, we're into our 2nd game now on 2000 Atmospheres. And in the bottom left, he's his down 1. He's the ventral 1. It's Vindicta.
And in the top right-hand side, he is the truck that ran him over. It's Neeb. That is his vehicle identification number. Is that picture of the truck that says Neeb?
Did you catch the idea of that? Did you catch the idea of the dump truck that just ran me over? Yes, please.
Yeah. That's him. You know that truck, right? Like the Neeb truck?
He was the fire truck Terran back in the day. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, was that a nickname that he had? Probably because of the picture of the truck that says Neeb.
No, I don't remember that. I know back in the day when he played Terran, maybe he had that picture, but he also would He saved a couple buildings that were just about burning down, and I think that was why this was a long time ago. I think that was why he got that nickname, and then he moved to Protoss and found himself briefly one of the best, if not the best, players in the world, which seems to have been a good career move for the man.
Yeah, like if you Google Neeb truck, there's a bunch of trucks of brand Neeb, kind of like the StarCraft boats, you know?
Oh, okay.
Or similar to that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Neeb. He's fantastic. He's going to get poked at one more time on the exit. Vindicta needs to just readjust here, but I guess he doesn't want a pylon dropping on his expansion, so fair enough. And he will repel this probe for the time being. He's going to go back and try to poke again, but the CC does go down on location. So that is a nice small victory there for Vindicta.
Absolutely. So, Cats, I don't think we're too often saying that Vindicta, while he may make it look close in the most recent matchup, look, he did beat Neeb. It is going to have to be Vindicta that is going to have to define the rules of engagement in this game. Whether he decides to be really aggressive, whether he pulls a Masa and gets a third base in about 40 seconds, 30 seconds. It doesn't feel like he's just going to be able to play a straight-up game, or actually now 2 straight-up games in this series, and take the win over Neeb. So I like what Neeb is doing here with the Stargate play. He saw Vindicta went for the Hellion drop idea. It didn't work out for him. But, man, early Phoenix are just the perfect way to deal with most early Terran aggression.
Yeah, I mean, I think that strategically, Vindicta is a fun player to watch. Stylistically, I should say, more so than strategically, perhaps. Like, he will pull off things like nukes, and, you know, he has, like, kind of funky strategies here and there. But actually, strategically and tactically, sometimes, to me at least, he seems to lack a little bit. And I think that that's the extra step that he needs. Because as far as keeping up with Neeb, Vindicta is an extremely fast player. Like, one of the fastest, if not the fastest, North American Terran that we have at this point in time. You know, he has that youth power that we were discussing with the Muslim earlier, and he can definitely take it to Neeb as far as like matching his mechanics are concerned. But like you said, he has to kind of dictate the pace elsewhere too. He has to kind of decide what his approach is going to be consistent with that, you know, pull off a couple of tricks, and that's how he can win.
Just to vindicate the pace of the game, apparently. Thank you, Cats. Just to get the vehicle ID or something. Oracle in the main base of Neeb. Not really going to have to do all that much, but it gets the Reaper. Oh, okay, so Neeb's going to go 2 Reapers. Here's my question, though, Cats. We've seen Hero occasionally now. He's been going for actually triple Oracle play against Terran because, of course, 3 Oracles, 1-shot SCVs. They 1-shot Marines. And it's something that Heroes found some level of success with. Do you think that's what Neeb goes for here, or is it just kind of your traditional 2? Well, maybe 1, Widow Mine is not going to get found, or it's not going to get a shot off.
Yeah, it is indeed going to get found by Neeb as he sees the shadow. So great eye from the North American Protoss here. And now he's going to feel free to kind of walk in, right? And here's where if you're Vindicta, you have to realize that Neeb saw that mine. And this is what I'm talking about. He has the APM to readjust, surely, right? So put it somewhere else where Neeb doesn't know that it's there. Oh, because right now, Neeb very clearly knows it's there. So you gotta, and now look at this. Why are you putting your Cyclone there? Like, obviously he knows it's there, right? Because he just avoided it 2 or 3 times.
No, Cat, it's the double mind game. It's the whole, while I don't have vision of your main base, surely you repositioned it. So I'm going to feel free to move over that spot now. It's triple blind.
Yeah, yeah, he's literally tripling down on this position, and it might work. Nope. I mean, it would be cool if it worked, though. But I feel like, you know, a player of the caliber of Neeb, haven't seen the mine there, he's probably going to be like, that Cyclone's kind of sketch, you know? Is your mine still there?
Why is that Cyclone not chasing me? What is this?
He even used Revelation even.
Okay, so Stasis Trap's going to come down to the mineral line, and man, Vindicta significantly overcommitted to this defense. He's already got missile turrets in the main base, Cats. I mean, or not the natural, sure, but missile turrets in the main base. The Widow Mine doesn't get much done. I don't know. I don't feel like you needed that. And it feels like a little bit of extra money that maybe Vindicta could have spent elsewhere. But hey, there we go. That's a lock on the Oracle. One will go down. There we go. Big. That's something.
Yeah, that's a good pickoff here for Vindicta. So it was the Oracle with the least energy, but it's still pretty good. Unfortunately for Vindicta, Neeb is setting up a pseudo-contain that really allows him to just go and take the map control and make something do with that in terms of economy, right? So Vindicta needs to break out, and he needs to take his own third ASAP. There's no CC though, so I guess he just needs to cross the map and kill Neeb. That's what his win condition is.
I mean, yeah, this is a really quick stim too. We talk about that traditional 3-1-1 timing. Vindicta, his stim is done at 6 minutes. This is the timing that he wants to hit. He does want to get aggressive with this, but the pressure, whether or not it's killed a lot of stuff, and it really hasn't, the pressure that Neeb has been able to put on the map here, just the sense of unease that he has been able to foment, makes it so difficult for Vindicta to have any idea about running out of the other side of the map, because those stalkers are going to chase him down. And we saw this happen in the Group A. Cats, we had a Future who was trying to be active on the map with a very similar build, and it just got picked apart over and over and over again. So by the time that it was on the other side, that was a dead Future. But here comes Vindicta now. He has not lost too much of this push. He's going to have to get something done here.
He has to get something done, or we're gonna have another dead Future, and it's gonna be Vindicta's here, because it's not, it's not looking too hot here. I mean, he just started his third CC. As he moves out here, he is already 18 workers behind, not to mention the real estate, which is also important, right? Like the ability to actually gather those resources and exploit them and make more units with them. The longer Vindicta takes here, the worse it is for him. And like you said, he hasn't gathered the information. He has no way to make this decision sensibly, other than just gathering, seeing like how many units Neeb has had on the map and what his posturing has looked like. And if he hasn't been able to read into that, he has no way to really just say, okay, like I should move out. But every moment that he doesn't make the decision to move out and make something happen, like you said, with the army that he had, is a moment that Neeb is catching up. And now as we speak, Neeb is already caught up in army supply.
I mean, Cats, this is a charge-left focused army, though. It is designed to catch these armies that Vindicta has made, swallow them up, and chase them across the map back home. We saw that happen in the Future versus Trigger series. So Vindicta staying home here, I don't hate it, but it's still got to make sure he can make the hold happen. I think his tanks are around the third base, steaming their way back home. But this is, again, Neeb, he's just buying space. Fourth base on the way. He's eventually going to get into his Colossus stack. And while, again, I like Vindicta just saying, I'm going to maintain my supply, I'm not going to lose it and overextend, it's still not the easiest position for our North American Terran.
I would go as far as to say it's a terrible position, but like if you have an inkling that maybe because of Neeb's army composition, I mean, I think there's something to that, right? Like Neeb's army composition was kind of basic, and it was kind of designed to take a greedy third and try to hold regardless. The problem for me is that Vindicta didn't even try with a build that looked aggressive enough to give it a shot at least, right? Because of just how far away your third is by contrast or by comparison to the Protoss. And that is the kind of thing that you need to gather information on, and you need to make decisions based around that, right? It's kind of like a situation like what we had in the Masa Pili Pili series, where Pili Pili just couldn't gather the information, and as a result, Masa just gets away with murder. And we're seeing, in my opinion, Neeb do that here.
That's fair. Widowmine gets a little bit of a hallucination there. That's about it. Now Vindicta does have to run back home, back to his tank line once again. But we saw how good of a fight Vindicta was able to take in that last game. His enhanced shockwave is just about done. And again, Cats, this is an army that has 22 zealots in it. It is extremely zealot heavy. It is designed again. Yeah. Oh, great mines.
Yeah, really good mines there. So a couple of units will be lost. Some others bruised. Oh, cute from Neeb.
This is a game now where Neeb has 2 Colossus, 2 Disruptors. He's finally getting into that tech that he's looking for. But that base army, 22 zealots, all that fun stuff, is something that is designed to fight a Terran army that is below 150 supply. When it starts to hit above that, when the tech starts to come out here, it's going to be a lot harder for Neeb to take the fight, at least until he gets up to maybe 4, 6 Disruptors. So if Vindicta is going to be able to set up a good concave, land some EMPs, this is absolutely a fight that Vindicta can take. It's a bit of an anti-timing, though. His upgrades are not done yet, and he scans up the high ground. He does not want to fight here.
Yeah, the biggest problem for me is what you could also characterize as the base army, which is like the army of bases that Neeb has, because he is taking a 5th right now. This is really important for Vindicta to deny this base, and he is putting some efforts into that. Because if Neeb takes a 5th, it's gonna be 5 bases to 3 at the moment, and that is just not where you want to be. Vindicta is almost finished with his 4th command center, so maybe some mitigation to be done there.
Vindicta, he's just about maxed out here. He's adding Liberators on, eventually into Liberator range. Fantastic against those Disruptors that Neeb wants to go into. But as you
beautiful mines again.
Nice mines there, and the tanks there as well. I don't know how much this is going to be able to, the reinforcements are there as well. Maybe he gets a tank. But, oh, wait a minute. The rest of the army of Neeb is behind this. Vindicta a little bit out of position. One Liberator is not going to be enough to make this all happen. And Neeb is, well, he's going to try to wedge his way in here. Vindicta arriving now. A lot of the tech of Vindicta's army getting knocked down. But on the other side of the map, the drop finding a good bit of damage here. It looks like that run by really is not going to accomplish all that much. Vindicta, once again, he holds. He finds himself in a wonderful supply position. I'm worried about these Tempests, though, because that is a fantastic answer to the Liberators, and the Disruptor's not going to get much of anything. Oh, Cats, that was
great
close.
EMPs. Yeah, great EMPs. Good blink here to answer back from Neeb. And good zone and Disruptor shots as well. There is Liberator range like you saw. That's not as good as it could have been, but it's not bad at all. Vindicta on the chase right now as those balls are out of juice. So he's going to catch one of the Colossus, and now wisely, he will retreat and kind of just regroup. I like this from Vindicta. Now the balls are back. Neeb actually balls a good clump of Zealots.
Yeah, Cats, I don't like this one for Neeb at all. He took some EMP center mass. We're talking about his army has not really been scaling all that well compared to what Vindicta has been going for. And now Vindicta, from a position where his supply not in a great spot, he's up 20. He has his 2-2. He knows where the 5th base is. He knows he has roughly reset the splash damage of Neeb, so he's going to look to stim in on top of this 5th base. Static defense is going to hold him back for now. And now that the Tempests are out, now that the Carriers are out, Vindicta, he has to either commit or go home. He just cannot sit here in the middle distance, continue to eat Tempest shots, and really have a bad time of it. And his tech pack, I liked it with Liberators into Disruptors against these Tempests, against these Carriers, unless you want to go up to, I think it's 12 Liberators, 12 Liberators to one-shot the Interceptors. Liberators do struggle at this stage in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Tempests are kind of the leapfrogging from Neeb to account for those. And at this point, I mean, we're not talking about the same advantages. Vindicta is caught up, if not actually definitely ahead in terms of economy. So he can elongate this game and it will be perfectly fine for him at this point. The thing is, I think he had potentially a timing when he spots those two Tempests, because you know, when you see two Tempests, that two more at least big units are in production. And Neeb just took a terrible trade. So maybe that was go time, at least to seize the advantage in killing that 5th or something of the sorts. But Vindicta chooses to just play it cautiously, and he still has great odds now moving further into this game. I think that the problem for Neeb in that fight was similar to what the problem of Vindicta was in the previous game, where he actually could have just disengaged, but instead turns around and finishes taking a bad fight on the back of thinking, oh, maybe these two Disruptor shots will connect.
Now, Cats, this is a extremely Marauder-heavy army. We're talking more Marauders than Marines. As Neeb goes to Sky Toss, we got to push on the left side. As Neeb goes into Sky Toss, do you think this army is just a little bit too Marauder-heavy right now, or is the anti-ground enough to make up for it?
No, I think it is Marauder-heavy for sure, and it doesn't help that Vindicta is reinforcing with just almost exclusively Liberators, unless he thinks that there is an answer to the Carriers and the Liberators, which I don't think is the way to do it. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. Now he spots the Carriers, and he sees at least 3 Carriers with 3 Tempests. So he knows this is an Earth transition, and now you would expect Vindicta to start producing mostly just Vikings, or at least, you know, if he's going to go for the ground, then Marines, even perhaps adding some Thors or something of the likes if he is desperate.
Well, he's certainly started those Vikings here as Neeb looking to run forward. Liberators, they rain their death from above, forces Neeb to back up for just a moment. And we're looking at 6 Carriers right now, but how many are in this army? Yes, all 6 of them right here, full on Interceptors. There is a moment where you get enough Liberators and it does one-shot those Interceptors, but it's a lot of Liberators. Vindicta really not with the free supply to make that happen anyways. So Neeb saying, I've hit my critical mass. The Fist of Neeb is here for the Thundershaft. But Vindicta, his upgrades are in a good spot. He has his 5th base. He's going to find some time maybe to build a different army. 5 Vikings are on the way. So the next question we ask ourselves is, as this push from Neeb happens in earnest on the 5th base, are these DTs that Neeb has warped in, are they going to be able to find enough value? Actually, it looks like they're joining the army. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe they will be morphed into Archons here. Or maybe he's looking for a jump onto the PF if he angles to a different side with the rest of his army. But Neeb, right now, recognizing his advantages, the DTs are actually going to intercept a lot of the army, and they will get a bunch of them. But excellent EMPs from Vindicta to answer that, as well as a scan. So those DTs melt. So right now, supplies are semi-even, but and Neeb is actually now producing more Marines, 5 Vikings at a time. So Vindicta maybe can start holding here.
The problem with that fight, it looked it was fantastic for Vindicta to start, but we saw him, he had to back up. Once all the interceptors came out, it was really a significant problem, but I like what Vindicta's doing. He is not wasting any time. He's got building armor. He has a high-spec auto-tracking coming in. It's going to make these missile turrets so much better at defending the carrier pressure as Vindicta works and struggles his way into a much better army to deal with what happens. EMP will miss all those DTs. But Vindicta, he does have +2 air. He can two-shot Stalkers. Not that that matters with Liberators anymore. But he is getting his armor upgrades. Eventually, his Vikings are going to be highly upgraded. But the problem with this style as a Terran player, Cats, is every time you take the fight, you're not guaranteed to kill a carrier, but you are almost guaranteed to lose a couple Vikings.
Yeah, and I mean, he has to work with the right numbers there to make sure that he is taking down those carriers, look for the right engagement, and just commit to it, right? So Neeb is now angling, and like you said, Vindicta has been transitioning to a stronger and stronger army. I think at first, he was a little bit caught out of sorts by Neeb, who kind of shows up with the 3 and then 6 initial carriers, and Vindicta didn't have a clear answer. Now, much better, right? Now we have 9 Vikings, we have 5 Liberators in production, which I'm still not super sure about, but I guess there is enough of a ground force in the Disruptors that he wants to zone those out, and there is also, like you mentioned, the critical mass of Liberators that can answer against the air and then look to siege, right? So you can look for those interceptors with enough Marines and Liberators in tandem, and then you can look to siege to clear the rest of the ground army. So Vindicta has options. He's almost maxed out. No bank for him. A little bit of a bank for Neeb. It is an extremely close game, however.
Man, Cats, look at these upgrades that Neeb has on the Sky Army. +3 done, +2 shields done, +3 on the way. We're seeing that really start to matter as the Vikings, they get full salvos off on the carriers, and we can actually see some low carriers right there for just a second. He is actually not able to kill carriers, but it takes multiple volleys from these Vikings, and as you're just jostling for a position with disruptor shots coming off, it feels like Vindicta needs to be able to one-shot these units in the sky to make sure that he actually takes a good fight. As he cannot do that, it does feel, these fights feel a little bit awkward, but here comes Neeb once again. Tons of disruptors, of Vikings from afar. They will prevent this 5th base, or this 6th base from starting. There we go, just with the cancel. But we got a drop on the right side. It looks like Vindicta is going to try to make something happen with that. 3 medevacs there, full of units. Disruptor shot's not going to find much of anything, but still Vindicta, he's not targeting the right carriers down. And now we're looking at 9 carriers on the field. It doesn't feel like Vindicta has enough anti-air.
Yeah, but this is good from Vindicta still, because I really like his ability to multitask, and he is doing exactly that. I think that this is a great opportunity for him to apply pressure to Neeb while still being safe enough with the turrets back at home to where he can, he can just hold. If he just holds back at home and he continues to do damage with his little squads, that is the Vindicta that I think can end up taking this game and take Neeb to the brink of extinction. So let's see if he's able to do that. He needs more Vikings, though. He's still making more Liberators, too.
I want to point out here, Neeb was down 3,000 resources at the, I don't know, the 10-minute mark. He had not been trading well, but ever since that point, since Neeb has gotten into this sky toss, this late game scenario, it's now Vindicta the one who is trading worse. It is now Vindicta the one that also is not mining as much. Yes, fantastic. Vindicta got that right side base, but Neeb has been up a base, has been up 2 bases pretty much the entirety of this game. DT's finding their way on the right side, but they force a scan. They jump on out. That's 200 minerals down the drain right there. And I like what Vindicta's doing, understanding that maybe this bio, the multitasking is just not really going to be all that useful in the straight up fight. But he does need to replace it with more anti-air, and that really is what we're lacking. Neeb's bank, actually, Vindicta's banks too is fairly nice here. Disruptors, or Liberators are going to siege up. EMPs on top of everything as well. Stalkers playing forward, looking for that fight, but the Vikings are really all that matters. The Stalkers are going to knock a bunch of them down. The ground army of Vindicta is going to win out here. It's really not a lot from Neeb, but there's nothing to stop the carriers in the air, Cats.
Yeah, that is a big problem there, and I think it's Neeb just identifying exactly that, right? There's not enough Vikings here, so what are you gonna do if I just attack move? And then he just attack moves, and now Vindicta is kind of scrambling to get units out. He's still making Liberators, which again, I don't know that it's the best idea here. I guess at this point you just make bio, Liberators, and attack move onto the Interceptors and hope that that's enough to clear them. I don't think you want to go into that, buddy. Not yet. Gotta chill for a little bit longer, but yeah, Vindicta's kind of running low on options now. GG.